Hey, we're live. Can you believe we're live?
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Great. How are you, Michael J? It's been a
Yeah, doing
while.
doing well, doing well. So, guess what happened last week?
What happened last week?
So, we want you to put down in the comments where you're watching from today. If you're watching live, we had a live viewer who was on Twitch, and they were from the Philippines. And they
What?
asked several questions. So I had a shirt on that said dyslexia, and so they were curious what dyslexia was. And so I had a little chat with a young man from the Philippines. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
So about what dyslexia was. So you can always put your name down in the comments, and we can talk to you guys as well as we're going live here today. Just go ahead and put those things down in the comments. Well, welcome back, Kate. So I definitely missed you last week because it's a little hard to carry the show by oneself. So
I can't even
yeah.
imagine, Michael J. I'm not going to pretend I even understand how it
Yeah.
was last week.
So we did talk a little bit last week about Mother's Day and how people celebrated. I know Sherry, my wife, she we started at the dog park with the somebody brought a dog that wasn't friendly with all the other dogs, and so our dog was in the middle of a chaotic encounter. So that was part of our Mother's Day, and then we went downtown to walk around, and then the twins started fighting each other. So that was great Mother's Day, and then ended up at home and we played a game of Kings in the Corner. And unfortunately, she lost both games, which she was not happy with. She thought maybe she should win because it's Mother's Day, but it didn't work out like that. But anyways, I think overall she had a great day. So yeah. So and you were gone because Mother's Day falls around your anniversary, you and your husband, and so you were celebrating how many years?
It was a big one this year. We survived 20 years of cohabitating with one another.
Wow, 20 years. Wow. That's hard to believe. You're like, you have more years than Sherry and I. So we'll be celebrating 18 this year. So, or
That's
17, 17 or 18. I don't know.
You should
18.
probably
I
figure
should
that
probably
out,
check
Michael
that out.
J. You should. Hey, I hope, Sherry, you just tuned out for a minute. If you're listening, Michael J will figure this out before your anniversary. Do you know when your
Yeah,
anniversary is, Michael J?
it's 2005. So that's 17 years. I just used a
Yes.
calculator. So, shout out to some friends of ours here locally, the Briggs. They got married 7 days before we did,
Ooh.
and so we both will be celebrating 17 years this day. So, so welcome back. And anything exciting that you were doing last week?
Well, in Nashville, it was beautiful there, by the way. Um, I strongly recommend it. There's some great historical things you can check out in Nashville. So that was really fun. Um, we got to ride on an electric scooters. We rented them, like they have downtown. They have them in
Okay,
downtown Grand Rapids.
yeah,
A great, efficient way to get around town. Not going to lie. I
yeah,
will definitely, if they're in cities we travel to again, it's definitely a better experience than like being stuck in a cab in traffic or something. So that
yeah.
was
Especially if
fun.
you're not going too far.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they go like we were going pretty fast. I'm not gonna lie. Probably
yeah.
like 10 miles an hour or something. I think you're not supposed to go down hills, but we did.
Yeah.
We're rule breakers. So
Okay. Okay.
um
So
yeah.
that's awesome. So, we talked one of the first times we talked about in town versus downtown, and
Uh-huh.
so we were trying to decide because we live in a smaller community north of a larger community, how to differentiate between the two. And so you said you and Matt came up with in town versus out of town. So we're very lucky that we live in an area where we have a small town that's vibrant and has
Hmm.
lots of life in it, lots of stuff to do. And I think that's what's the popularity of the Rockford area is that the downtown shops are active. There's plenty of places
Hmm.
to eat. There's places to have fun. Plus, just the natural beauty of the dam and the river. And
Yes.
so we're very lucky in that respect. And so um, we back in um, December, I learned a little bit about something called Small Nation. And so we're going to watch a little video about them telling us about them. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experience with Small Nation. So
I relocated to Bell Fountain, Ohio, and it was a completely different town than what it is today.
you can hear
Things
that.
were pretty bad here. We had a town that was decaying, that was dying. We had 80% of the downtown vacant and empty. And I saw that our community was hurting. And so the way that we felt we could make an impact was by pulling a team together that could renovate these buildings, create new businesses, and interject life and energy in a community.
I remember when this downtown wasn't quite what it is now, and things are changing down here now. There's a lot going on, there's people walking around, and we're pretty happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, the progress in downtown Bell Fountain is huge. I would have never probably opened a business back when I lived here before, so when I came back and saw everything that was going on, it really excited me.
I created Small Nation because I realized that there are small towns all across the country, and they need people that create a vision, helping a town realize its best potential and becoming the best version that that town deserves to be.
The mission of Small Nation is to be a resource to other entrepreneurs or investors that may not know where to look. They may need assistance with financing, marketing, signage, anything to help a entrepreneur or investor look at a piece of property and turn that into a profitable business.
Part of our process at the very beginning would be when we see a property and we start to dig into it, I'll be thinking through sort of like an index of what type of tenant would work perfect. And then I just go and I reach out to them, call on them, talk to them, show them the space, give them a tour of the downtown, help them fall in love with the community.
Just seeing all the energy that all the business owners had and just going into all the businesses is what really sold me on opening my business on Bell Fountain.
What we do is we contact an architect, we meet with the customer or the tenant, and then we take and do a design build. And we build it and design it to bring out the most out of every property, because every property is different.
So not only are these guys trying to preserve the history of downtown Bell Fountain here, but they're really pushing to move things into the future and look ahead.
As the new business is working on opening their new store, we come in and kind of do a deep dive, learning more about their marketing goals. We could be helping them with a logo design package, website design and development, taking a look at social media channels, anything that helps them reach their customer.
And something that we take a lot of pride in is the tremendous success of our tenants. From the very beginning of working with them at the property, and then also we're there as a support partner and a small business therapist, if you will.
We were confident that we were going to do well here. I knew we had good people behind us, and no matter what, it was going to be a community of people working together to make sure things happened right.
Small Nation has been a great resource. They've cultivated a community of entrepreneurs in downtown Bell Fountain, whether it's from networking to marketing to cross-promoting with other businesses. Without their help and without the resources that they provide, it would have been pretty tough to get things going.
Sometimes when I talk to other entrepreneurs in small towns, they feel like they're alone, when in fact, if you invest in them and you find ways to support them, there's a lot of possibilities.
Being in Bell Fountain is completely different than anything I've ever experienced. Every business is supporting each other. It's just a true ecosystem of awesomeness.
There's power in the ripple effect. One good idea spawns other good ideas, and probably what I'm most proud of is that movement is just growing.
Our hope and vision is that other investors and entrepreneurs in other places around the country can look at what we've accomplished in the past 10 years and go back into their own communities and apply those same concepts.
Small Nation has been doing a phenomenal job at reinvigorating this town. And I think it would be a good model to use as a paragon of what is possible for small towns across this country.
We are a community working together. It's folks from government, folks from nonprofit, people that are small businesses and entrepreneurs. Together we are a force, and together we are Small Nation.
Join the movement at smallnationstrong.com.
So that's the video and introduction that we got to Small Nation back in December when I went to a conference in Naples, Florida. And so we met some of the team, Jason, who was the main guy behind that, and talked a lot about um, the different things that they've been doing in there. So they've been in a 10-year project in this small town. And so to give you a little bit of history lesson, the think about all the small towns across the United States, as they were building the railroads, and they would go 7 to 10 miles or whatever it was, and then they put a little town because they needed a water station for the railroads, right? And so they just kept building these little small towns all the way across the country as they built the railroads. And then later, after the railroads and stuff, there was a couple of things that sort of changed in American history. Something in the 1950s. Do you any guess?
No.
Say roads. So the international interstate highway system started. So all during the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and a little bit into the 80s, they started building this national highway system, which would make it, if you remember cars, where they kind of cut across the land, and made these straight roads across the country. And that sort of drove people from these isolated areas into the big cities. And why do you think people were going to the big cities? Jobs, right? So people were going to the big cities for jobs. And so they were eventually leaving these smaller towns, smaller communities for the bigger city. So in a poll just back right before the pandemic, in a Gallup poll, 80% of people in the country live in big cities. But 40% would prefer not to live in big cities. So, so over half of those that live in the big cities, they prefer not to live in the big cities. And so, a couple of things have changed recently that have made it possible for us to maybe make a trend back to smaller cities, and that's sort of like the boom of the internet and with the new technology. And then of course we had COVID, which sort of forced us into this I don't want to work, I can work from home kind of thing. So that's kind of what the new thing is. So what these guys have done in Bellefontaine is they said, how do we revitalize this community and get it in there? So not only do they come in and buy a building, but and just basically fix it up and then put tenants in it, they're actually involved in each of the businesses that end up in the spaces. So the very first thing that they needed, like, how are they going to bring people from the city into the community, right? So what do you need downtown for people? You need things to do, right? So what's one of the first things that you think people need to do downtown? They need to eat, right? So they looked at whether or not there was anything downtown for people to eat. So they opened up a pizza place. That was one of the first businesses that they did. They renovated this building, probably bought it for about $100,000 and ended up selling it, or ended up putting like over $250,000 in renovations. So not only are they just kind of making the building safety and up to code, but they're designing the building specifically with a lot of intentionality of what it's going to look like and that sort of thing. So then they put the pizza business in there. And not only was it just the pizza business, but they hired this world-renowned pizza competition person. So the lady that we met there, she's been on the Food Network. She's been in many of the Vegas pizza contests, like flipping dough and stuff like that. And she even spoke on the White House lawn when the former administration did a small jobs focus program. So she's kind of a little famous in her own right in the city, but in that business. So Jason, he's like 49% owner, and then she is the other percent owner. So not only is he making money from the pizza business, but he's making money on the rent, and then the upper floors are all loft apartments, right? So we're making money on those apartments. So this is a way for him to invest in the city, bring businesses, and also for, obviously to make money, right? So, and they've just sort of gone around the city and done different build outs. And so one was the pizza place, and then this is how they think about things like this. So if the pizza place is busy every weekend and it's maxed out, how do you get more people in the door, right? The only way to get more people in the door is to either expand your space or see if you can turn turn the tables quickly or more quickly, right? Because then you get more people in the door if people don't stay as long. So what they did is they cut all their desserts down to one dessert on the menu, and then opened up an ice cream parlor next door to the restaurant to encourage people to eat the pizza and then go next door for the custard. And that way they're turning their tables faster. So, and then they kind of went on and on and on from this sort of thing. So the next thing they did is bring in a fitness center, a 24-hour fitness for people to kind of have things to do. Axe throwing. There was a brewery came in. And then on and on and on in small retail shops. So they also opened something called a mini mall. And basically they put, they're very intentional. So the first shop that went in there was a hair salon. So people would come downtown, they'd have the foot traffic, they'd do the hair salon. And now we can put little shops in there. So people who are wanting to have businesses that maybe they've never owned a business, but they have this idea, they can start in these little mini shops in the mall. They have the foot traffic coming from all the from the hair salon, and then in the back is a bakery, so people can get snacks and stuff like that. But the bakery not only bakes goods for itself, it also bakes goods for the different restaurants that are a part of the Small Nation family. So each of the restaurants, rather than having to make all those baked goods in-house, they get them from the bakery that's made fresh every day, from there. So it's really kind of a whole synergy concept. And actually going down there to Bellefontaine, Ohio, which is about 4.5 hours from here. So it's not really a quick place to drive for pizza, but I had some of the best pizza that I was there. 70% of all their businesses are owned by women, which I thought was interesting. And a lot's happened in a very short time, in 10 years. So let me look at some of these other stuff that I had, because I was going to put some pictures up here. And
how long were you there, Michael J?
So I was there for 2 days, and they kept us busy for the 2 days. So I wasn't expecting the fact that we were going to, I knew we were going to go there and learn a little bit more about the town, but I didn't know necessarily that we were going to have like a full-on kind of schedule. So we got the introduction from Jason the first day that we were there. Then they took us to lunch, and that's where we had the pizza and got to experience Brittany Saxton, who's the pizza expert lady. And so we got to do that. And then they took us on a walking tour around Bellefontaine, and then we came back and kind of recapped. And then we had dinner at the brewery, which is called Brew Fountain, and the Syndicate, which is right next door, which is a wedding venue. And so we had lunch there. And then the following day, on Friday, we talked to the architect and design people. And we also talked about community branding and messaging. And then we had lunch at a place called the Flying Pepper. And it used to be a food truck. So it was a food truck and serving Mexican dishes. And it's not sort of like your big traditional wet burrito plate. It's a totally different experience. But they sort of are right next door. This conference room is right next door to the restaurant, and the restaurant's connected. So basically it's a work, how to describe this. So the conference room is a conference room during the day, but at nighttime it's overflow for the restaurant. So it has doors that are connected to the restaurant. And so on one side's the restaurant, and then the other side is a we call that a workspace, like a flex workspace for people to come in and have little offices or whatever. So that whole building is flex space for open offices, but people can go back and forth, and they use that space that space for dining. So they come over and delivered us a lunch, and the guy started a food truck, and they hounded him to come open a full-size restaurant. So, but eventually that's what he did. So, and then we had some free time to go and experience the downtown. So,
well, that sounds like an amazing trip. Did you figure out the picture situation yet?
No, I'll put up a slide here. I don't do I got to get rid of something here. How do we do this? There we go. So this is kind of their approach. They buy and renovate historical small town buildings. They actively recruit entrepreneurs and tenants. So they're not just looking for someone to pay the rent; they're looking for somebody to really kind of invest in. So let's say you're the coffee shop. We're not necessarily going to. Maybe our town can support 2 coffee shops. That's a little bit different. So we might have those. But if you're the big pizza place, we're not going to put another pizza place, in one of our buildings, because
Right.
we already have that, right? And so they help finance the businesses for the people who are getting started, and they become sort of this equity partner where they're a partner in the business and help them with their brand and their marketing, and then mentor and guide these people so that they're trained for success. Because the belief is that if you have the tenants, if the tenants are successful, then you're successful, right? Because you own the buildings. So that's sort of the big kind of thing. So I think we're very fortunate that we have this opportunity, that we live in a small town that sort of already has this sort of thing. And it's kind of, vibrant, but this is an approach, and we went sort of like as an investment opportunity for real estate people, right? Because we don't really have an opportunity. We don't really have like a retirement plan. So where can we, where can we invest money? Because as people start working from home, they don't have to go into the city for the jobs. Let's say our commute, becomes shorter and shorter. We're able to, drive our electric car or our Jetson car or whatever you want to call it, to the office, once or twice a week, then we could probably live anywhere we want to live, right? So,
well, I've got an opportunity for you then, Michael J., if you're really looking for a small town to invest in.
Yes.
So I grew up in small town America, 600 people in our town, and I graduated 48 people in a public school. Might have mentioned that before, I can't remember, but the town could be so cool. We've got like this really beautiful bridge. We've got this old mill. The nearest town is 30 minutes away. Like the nearest shopping town is 30 minutes away. And my town that I grew up in, like, there's all these buildings that have so much potential. And it's just, I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to say that there's anything wrong with the town I grew up in, but there's so much potential, and there's so much opportunity that someone just needs to actually invest in and do more than just a bar and a convenience store.
Right. So, so that's where this sort of model could kind of work, right? And so they're doing as much private funding as they can, and mostly so that they're working kind of hand in step with the city and the council, but at the same time, they don't want all the restraints that sometimes come with working with government and government funds. So that's why they privatized most all their funds, just so that they can get these things done and accomplished. So this model could really work for anywhere. A couple of quick things that I was able to put a picture of. So we can go back here. So they have the shortest street in America, McKinley Street. So there's my picture with the shortest street in America. I should have took a picture of that, but it's literally like a building length, and it's the official shortest street in America. Yeah. Here we are in that conference room. And you can see the Coke machine here in the back for the servers. This is a little server station when they're not using this room as a conference room, and all the lighting changes in here so that it looks more like a restaurant and not like a big bright conference room. So that's a couple pictures I was able to get up there, but so I had to figure out how to get these pictures in a better way, but yeah, so it was a great experience for that.
Well, that's awesome. I love it. You know what? Another small town in America that is having lots of things happen and revitalize and change the landscape? Caledonia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Caledonia Farmers Elevator. They took on this huge renovation project. One of their buildings, it was really just like their farm and feed store. And now they have converted it into a local market that features a local a farmer, and they sell her beef there. They have a clothing boutique, and I mean, Caledonia is really just booming, and there is a lot of potential to continue to invest in that community and see some really exciting things happen in that little downtown area.
And where, what part of Caledonia is that downtown area? What streets is that off of?
Oh, I think it's 92nd Street, but I'm really bad with street name. Remember, Michael J., we don't even know the names of our own town streets. You expect me to know Caledonia's street names? Come on. Like, that's just not even a fair question. For the new listener today, Michael J. and I talk about in-town Rockford frequently, and we never can remember the names of the streets.
Main Street?
Or the names of the street in our own subdivision. Like, that's the big kicker for me is I don't even know. I live at the corner of an intersection. I don't know that, and it's the street that Michael J. lives on. So he knows the name of his street. He probably even knows the name of my street. I only know the name of my street. That's it.
Oh, that's it?
That I there's Legacy Court, there's Park Place, but I don't know
where they are.
Is it Rock Hollow?
In relation to you. Yeah, that's down on the other end.
Oh, so you're Orchard Drive.
Correct.
I mean, now that I've told the entire
world
where we live,
street I'm on.
Don't come looking for us. We are boring people. You don't want just.
Yeah, good thing the guy isn't on from the Philippines, right?
Right, but this does restream. You're gonna cut this part out, right?
Yeah,
like,
cut this part out. Yeah, yeah. So,
I think it's 92nd Street. Long story shortened up. It's like Cherry Valley, and
there's a whole bunch of new ones that are coming in though, but we don't know what those are yet. Do you?
In our neighborhood?
Yeah.
No, not a clue. And every time I see one of them, I'm like, I actually had to approve someone to our neighborhood Facebook page, and I was like, that road is not in our neighborhood. Yep, nope, it is. They definitely are. So.
Yeah, there's some new stuff, right? So.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna share with you some stats, and I got them kind of pulled up here. I don't see the one I was looking for though. Let me see here real fast. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, so interestingly enough, the main street in Caledonia, where all these new fun things are coming in, is called Main Street. So.
There you go.
Yep. Corner of, like, if you are on 37, you turn onto Main Street. You've got the Vault Cafe and Bakery. Across the street is the Caledonia Farmers Elevator, Brink's Ice Cream Express for Canos. There's also the Family Tavern, which is a big popular place in Caledonia. So, did you figure it out yet, Michael J?
Yeah, we got 2 minutes.
Yeah, so we might have to share some of it next week.
Yeah, so we talked about a small nation. Okay, so the other thing was this: we were talking about the spring market. What's going on with your house, right? So from April 2021 to 2022 in the Kent County area, housing values have increased by 16.1%, and we're telling people that their values are going up each month, almost 10%. Still going up, even though the interest rates are going up. Can you guess the average home price in Kent County right now?
$275.
$359,000.
Whoa! You want to sell my house, Michael J?
$359,000. So yeah. So the average list to sell. So people, they're kind of going, oh, we listed it for 200 and we got, 450, but about 109% is what on average is what most houses are going for. So about 9% over, and most houses that are listed for sale are usually selling on average within 10 days. So 10 days is usually what most houses are selling for. And then April, we sold 784 homes in the Kent County area, which is down like 21% from the year before. So, and same thing for year to date. So we're down about 14% over 2021, only selling about 2,800 homes so far this year. So
Yeah.
there's just not a lot of homes. That's part of the thing. I was talking with a client recently who had been waiting for this market to crash. Well, that's not going to happen because we just have such a demand for people to buy homes, and yeah, so it's just not going to happen. Well, let me give you some statistics right before we hang up here, just for Rockford themselves. And let's see what we did here. Go back. This is from October to March. So just in this last few months here. Do you know that other than Kentwood, am I reading this right? Well, Grand Rapids had a total sales of 1311, right? But as all the small towns surrounding it, Kentwood had 363 and Rockford had 300 that sold. So there's a lot of transactions going on in the Rockford area. With the average,
especially compared to Kentwood, because we're
Yeah.
really small compared to Kentwood.
yeah. So there's a lot of things going on there. And still, like I said, if you take that smaller chunk of time, October to March, about 9 days on the market, and the values are up 17%. So you have a lot of equity in your home if you haven't refinanced, and you can get your rates higher than what the current rates are. It'd be a good time to refinance if you haven't done that in the last couple of years. You probably should have been taking advantage of that. But
You might have missed the boat on that
you
one.
might have missed the boat on that one, but it depends on where you land at. But just to say, we have a healthy housing market. You're still, regardless of the what's going on in the world, gas prices and the lot. You still have your value in your home, and it keeps going up. So, and there's still some homes out there. Just got to be patient and keep looking and be prepared. So that's what I can tell you about the spring housing market. It's hot.
Ha.
So we are slowly approaching our times. Do you have any parting shots?
Just it's glad to be back, Michael J. I missed you. And next week is mental health awareness, right?
Yes, mental health awareness. I need it.
Yeah, same. I'm in that same boat.
All right, we'll see you